You can see him nightly on the Fox News channel. He has just published his latest book to rescue the American spirit, Teddy Roosevelt and the Birth of a Superpower. Bret Baier joins us here on Jersey Magazine. Bret, let me start by asking you, certainly a larger than life figure was Teddy Roosevelt, but what attracted you most to him to write a book about him?
Yeah, good morning. I tell you, it is such a rich topic in that he does jump off the page. The anecdotes about Teddy Roosevelt are just so rich. He had several different lives that are easy to write about. But each one of these books, and believe it or not, I've done six of these biographies. I started with Eisenhower and then Reagan, FDR, Grant. My last one was about Washington and the Constitutional Convention. And this one, each one of them deals with a soda straw moment that maybe history overlooked or was uncovered or kind of 30,000 feet wasn't really a big deal. This soda straw moment is Teddy Roosevelt's legacy. He wants America to be a global leader, a leader on the world stage. And to do that, he decides at the turn of the century he's going to get engaged, and he sees Russia and Japan fighting over territory, and it's actually devolving into possibly a world war. He reaches out to both of those countries' leaders and says, I would like to host a peace negotiation. So he brings the delegations from both countries to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. He sets it all up, does the logistics, shuttles from delegation to delegation, and eventually, over the days that they're there, gets to a peace treaty. And that gets him the Nobel Peace Prize. And America is then on the world stage and recognized.
One of the things that strikes me about Roosevelt is the country's still healing more or less from the Civil War. It's not that many generations removed from it, and I think about what you just alluded to, being a superpower and the way he wanted America to function, while we're still trying to recover from a very, very critical episode in our history.
No, that's right. That's very right. It's good timing. He's affected by the Civil War. His family is split. His mother's family was in the South and had relatives in the South. His father doesn't fight in the Civil War, pays to get out of it, in part because the family is split. But he always regretted that. His father did. And I think it affected Teddy Roosevelt, just to tie to the Civil War. He always wanted to fight, which is why he gets involved in the Spanish American War, in part because his dad didn't. And he wanted to get into the action. And so he gets the Rough Riders and goes to Cuba and becomes a national hero because the press is embedded with them as they do their exploits up San Juan Hill. Everybody knows about it, and he comes back a national hero.
One of the things that strikes me is that were Teddy Roosevelt alive in this time, he would have absolutely owned social media, a point that you make in the book.
100%. He'd have a great Instagram account. He'd be firing on X. Definitely. It's funny. I think I love putting, these leaders in current times and thinking what they could have done. But of all the things he speaks about, and speak softly, carry a big stick about foreign policy, which is obviously about being peace through strength and showing the world that you're strong. The speech that he gives after he leaves the presidency in Paris, called The Citizenship in a Republic, which eventually becomes the Man in the Arena speech, is really the essence of Roosevelt. In other words, get in the game. Don't be on the sidelines. Don't be throwing rhetorical grenades. You have to be a doer and do something, move the needle. And in essence, that is Teddy Roosevelt.
And in being a doer, one of the things that guided him throughout his life was something that his father had told him, and that was take care of your morals first. And what a great way to look at life, coming from your dad. And obviously there was more to it than that. But Brett, I think, boy, if politicians and the rest of us, never mind just politicians, just used that, your moral compass as a guide for life, how much different the world would be right now.
Yeah, 100%. He took a lot from his father. He was devastated when his dad died when he was in college in Harvard, but he had life lessons, and lead with your morals is something that Roosevelt took to his grave. He was president, the youngest president ever at 42. He dies at 60. after his travels in South America and comes back, and his son Quentin is killed as a fighter pilot in World War One, and that despair eventually leads to his death. But a life that was not that long, and when he dies at 60, he is the leading candidate for the next presidential election, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, no question about it. And you mentioned that you have written other presidential books. I've actually read the books on Grant and Washington, and uncovering things of that nature, especially I think with Washington, because the infancy of the country always amazed me.
Yeah. This process I love. I'm addicted to it because I have a great researcher who parks herself in the National Archives and finds these nuggets and jewels of history that really illuminate things that we have only seen in a history book, and then ideally it comes to life. If George Washington is not the leader of the Constitutional Convention, we don't get off the starting line and we don't have a country. And that's the purpose of that book.
Your name has come up recently with regard to CBS News. They have a new editor in chief, Barry Weiss. And while I know you're probably not going to be able to comment on that, I would also point out that Scott Jennings, a contributor at CNN, the opposite end of the spectrum, if you will, from Fox News, his name has also come up. So, my question to you, Brett, would be, what does this mean for legacy news, which, every time the president hears something he doesn't like, it's fake news this and fake news that. But what does it mean when so-called legacy news is now looking to something like a Fox News or a CNN contributor to lead the next generation of newscasters?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll say this. I'm flattered by all the news articles. I'm in a multi-year contract with Fox, so um, I'm very happy where I am. But I will say this, that I think it indicates that there's a sense that Fox and covering the news down the middle, which is what I do. Obviously, we have opinion shows, but is something that is going to be more attractive, that it's crossing over into a business perspective. And I think that's a good thing for the country. I think if there are more down the middle shows, that's better. More special reports, I'm okay with it. But for me, I have a multi year deal, and I wish them well.
The book is called To Rescue the American Spirit, Teddy Roosevelt and the Birth of a Superpower. Bret Baier, always a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you for your time and best of luck with the book.
Thanks a lot.